I finally got an opportunity to see the new Scream movie. And boy, am I happy. Because Scream 2022 is just as great as I always expected it to be. Now, I'm going to give you guys my review. But before I do that, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button and comment down below. What did you think of Scream 2022? Was it really great or was it less than great? I want to know all of your opinions down below, and with that said, let's get into the review. Scream 5 takes the premise of basically the first movie, which is my favorite movie of all time, and puts a little twist on it, having a new cast of characters and having the original characters from the original movies come to help them fight a new Ghostface. So, getting into this movie, I was excited for it. I wouldn't say that this was my most anticipated of the year, especially because going into this year, I have not seen a single Scream movie. Now, starting January, I was like, you know what, I'm going to start watching these movies, and that is when I found my favorite movie of all time. The original Scream it's correct. That is an epic movie, epic emotions, epic kills. It's just perfect all around. And so, it just made me excited to see the franchise, even though I had no idea how they can make more sequels. And then I saw Scream 2, and it was just like, you know, it's actually a reasonable reason to have a Scream sequel. It made a reason why someone else would want to become the Ghostface killer. Before that, I was like, there's no way. Now, I'm like, wow, that was a great way. And then I didn't think there would be any way to do 3 and 4, which I have not seen. And then I feel like there should have been just Scream 1 and then Scream 2 and then the new Scream. I don't really feel like there should have been more Scream movies after number 2. I don't really feel like they can find a valid way of doing that. But I haven't seen them. Maybe they do. So I will have to check them out. They are on my watch list. But anyways, we're here to talk about the new Scream and why I think it is very good. This film begins with the fantastic cold opening at Tara's house, where the new Ghostface killer calls her, and this is where we have several references to the original movie. And even though I've only started liking these movies this year, I was just fanboying out. I thought it was really cool. This entire conversation, just for me, really worked. And then, yeah, it was pretty creepy when Ghostface came on. One of my problems with the movie is that it's very anticlimactic. Every time Ghostface goes on screen besides this beginning, I was just like, you know, oh, cool, there's Ghostface. I didn't get scared once. In fact, I constantly just kept calling the jump scares, and even though that one sequence with Wes in his house keep closing and opening doors, I kept calling them, and it made me very mad because I couldn't call the jump scares because they never happened. But to me, every time Ghostface walks on screen, instead of the first one being like, oh, we have this massive screen presence, we're so scared right now, we fear for the character's life. Every time he comes on screen, it's just like, oh, cool, there's Ghostface. And I don't think that they've nailed that since the first movie. I don't think that they've had an actual scary Ghostface. Now, sure, the scene in Scream 2, when the girls are climbing over the Ghostface, that is really intense, and that was a really excellent sequence. But the thing is, in here, again, it's just not scary at all. It's just like, cool, there he is. I was never scared of Ghostface in this movie at all. But anyways, we have that amazing beginning, though. That was the only time I was scared of Ghostface, because it was really creepy. And like I said, that conversation, just for any Scream fanboy, I think people are just going to be freaking out because of that conversation. It was really good. And then it's just really entertaining, too, to see Ghostface attack her. And it was weird. Like, how the heck did she survive that? I just don't see how she could survive that. But anyways, after that, we meet our main character, and it's a bit cringy. I honestly thought that some of these teenage characters were a bit cringy. I never really got used to them. In the first movie, it was like, oh, great, these guys, and it makes a lot of sense for them just to be sitting around talking about how their fear of it, or their fear or not fear of this Ghostface. And here it was just like, yeah, you guys are kind of cringe. And that's another problem, was some of the teenage acting was kind of cringe. I thought Sam did good. I thought the actress who played Tara did great. It's just a bunch of the teens just were like, they were just in this movie. It feels like, it just doesn't feel like they were even trying. And that, it just wasn't that great. But anyways, you meet the characters, and then you just basically get into my least favorite part of this movie. The pacing for the first act was extremely off. And if you don't believe me, why the heck were we delving into the story of the main character in the first 3 minutes? Like, a whole character arc there could have been from the movie was just explored in our lead in 30 minutes. And I was just like, why are you doing this again? I really didn't understand what they were thinking, making, just giving all the questions that we had, not waiting to the end of the film. They decided to do it in the first 30 minutes. And that was something that really, really, really confused me. And I just really couldn't get into it. Again, I didn't like all the scenes that Ghostface was in this first act. It it just didn't work. The first act didn't work. And besides that first opening sequence, I did not think that this first act was going to be a good movie. And all of that changed when Dewey came on screen. In order to make a good Scream movie, you gotta have great characters. It's just pretty simple. The first Scream movie worked because you get attached to these characters, and then you get this Ghostface killing them off, and you won't know who dies. The second Scream movie, you get attached to these characters, they also die. And in here, we just didn't get any characters that we were attached to. A bunch of the teens were just like, they were just here to get murdered. It was pretty clear. So putting Dewey in this movie, he just had this screen presence that really, really worked and really made this movie be more fun. David Arquette, I think, did great. I was really worried that him, from looking in the trailers, would not feel like Dewey from the original movie. And he did. He was funny, quirky, and when he died, that was one of the saddest things that I've ever seen. I mean, thanks, YouTube, you spoiled it for me. Literally, the day this movie came out, there was a video that said, oh, David Arquette's death scene, and I was so mad. It makes me so mad when YouTube spoils everything on the day big movies come out. But him still dying, I still did not want that to happen. And his chemistry with everyone, in fact, the original three cast, Courtney Cox and Neve Campbell, they all did really great. They were the stars of this show. Every sequence they were in, I really enjoyed it. And I also think it was actually a really great idea to not have them be the stars of this show, to introduce new characters. I think that really, really worked. And I really, really did, again, think that they did excellent. All of the cast, as the movie went on, the cast got better. Still, they were a little cringy sometimes, but they weren't as bad as the beginning, and I really started to like all of these characters as the movie went on. Now, still, some of the teens were pretty clearly going to die, but especially as we get on, I really liked the girl who talks about requels and all that. I really liked her brother, too. I really got attached to these characters, and from the beginning of the movie, I was just sitting there like, yeah, these characters suck. And as the movie went on, I got used to them. They're not as near as good as the first characters, but with what they had, they didn't do an excellent job, but as the movie went on, they got better. And so, not having the original cast here also gave the other people a time to shine. But like I said, this movie was instantly better the moment Dewey came on screen. And then the original cast came back. They all had great chemistry. And then even Ghostface, he still felt anticlimactic, but even he came on screen some more, and there were some pretty great sequences, not just because of him, but they were just great sequences, period. And this movie, it just really got great from then on out. It was a classic Scream movie, a classic whodunit. All the characters had great chemistry. I had a blast with the rest of this film after Dewey came on screen. And then Dewey died, and the film still got great. Having the finale take place in that house, that was classic Scream. It was just so fun, and then the reveals actually really worked too. Normally, they wouldn't have worked. I think that it was a bit weird that they were doing this to make a requel/sequel, but it also worked because that's what Scream is. This finale was epic. All the characters on screen was epic. The reveals were epic. I really had fun with the rest of this film, and it's just a classic Scream movie. Even though I did not like this first act, it gets better with all of our original characters, all of this Ghostface action. It's a classic Scream movie, and it's my favorite movie of the year so far. I had a bit complicated. I thought Turning Red would be my favorite, but the more I think about this movie, the more I love it. The more I love the kills, the action, the acting. Everything about this movie makes a great Scream movie. Scream is by far my favorite franchise of all time. I'm going to go ahead and give Scream 5 an A, a 9 out of 10, and a whopping 4.5 stars. It's not as good as the first one. The first one was definitely better, but the new Scream movie, it's definitely a must-watch, and I really wish I got to see it in the theaters because this is definitely one of my favorite movies of the year. Actually, it is my favorite movie of the year, and I cannot wait for Scream 6, even though I have no idea how they are going to continue it. So that was my opinions on Scream 5. I want to hear all your thoughts down below, and while you do that, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button and hit that bell so you never miss another video. Also, comment down below, again, what did you think of Scream 5? Did you think it was as great as I did, or were you a little disappointed? What are your expectations for Scream 6? I want to know all that and more. I do plan on reviewing Scott Pilgrim vs. the World soon. I'm also working on a Crawl review. I do need to share my top 5 most anticipated movies of the summer. And I do plan on watching more new releases. So anyways, yes, thank you for watching this video. And with that said, make sure to subscribe to join the Nerd Army. Peace out.